Go.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the next edition of Kurt's Mobile Kitchen Table Car Ride Ed Talk. I'm here with Richard Capone, CEO of Let's Go Learn, and we are doing the Texas two-step. We have been traveling all week since Monday. It is now Wednesday, and where did we start, Richard? What, was it Austin?
It was Austin, then we went up to Fort Worth, a few different cities around there, and now we're heading down to Houston.
Yeah, making our way to the coast here with Houston, and super excited. We have spent the last 3 days just sitting down with educators, having amazing meetings, learning a lot, and going to debrief a little bit here with Richard and my native Californian out here in Texas. So one of the things today, Wednesday, it's August 15th, and TEA released the A through F grading system, and I will tell you, there are some educators who a lot of input, a lot of reaction, and Richard, what is the sense you're getting?
First, I want to say I'm driving, my eyes are on the road. We concluded I was the better driver while talking.
Indeed.
Because he was swerving too much before when we tried it. So.
That's a good point.
But anyway, you know what? The special ed directors we talked to and the testing directors, they were definitely, some of them were a little down on the grades, just because it really is tied to socioeconomic. When school districts had a poor student body, they had lower scores in general. And then one of the things it does do is there's a lot of administrators who are working really, really hard, and teachers at these districts that sometimes get lower scores, and it's not really a reflection of their work. It's a reflection on some of the challenges they face.
Well, and I think so often what we find is, in all honesty, some of the best education comes out of these Title I schools, and schools that are working super hard. We know the impact of poverty, and by no means does it mean these children can achieve at the same level, but when you're working with children that are coming with fundamentally 80% less vocabulary into an elementary school, and that school's having to work super hard to bring them up to speed, it's not comparing the apples to apples across the board in the resources and supports, and it gives us a lot of concerns, and I think it really was reflected in the meetings we had today with folks.
Absolutely. And so some of the other stuff was, we actually spoke to quite a few today, in particular, special ed directors. One of the topics that came up was just the challenges of special ed and the lack of direct supervision over sites. I think it came up was not having time for PD for the principals, even the teachers. But they seem like they are able to squeeze in some PD with teachers, but overall PD is a big issue.
Yeah, and that was clear to me that there are so many requirements. So a lot of Texas schools are having the first week of teacher training, and squeezing in an extra 15 minutes is an enormous challenge.
Yeah.
So here we are getting teachers trained on 504s, IEPs, RTI, all the administrative work, and at some point they might even get time to set up a classroom for children. But there's just so many mandates and requirements that we're placing on these schools. There's just such a limited time to be able to do professional development. Sure. And it's just a real challenge.
And this has been a big issue for Let's Go Learn. We know that professional development for principals and site administrators is really important, and we've been doing more and more. But in particular, having these discussions with the special ed director, I think was a good opportunity to brainstorm for them, because at least for special ed, one of the conclusions is that you can say, hey, look, principals are ultimately responsible for signing off on IEPs.
That's right.
And if they don't do it properly, they could get sued because of Andrew F., the Supreme Court case. So one thing that sort of came up was they could talk to the superintendent and say, hey, I really think from a liability standpoint, we need to carve out some time for training for the principals. And then the benefit is, at the same time you do the principal training, you make it a PLC or PLG training, so that you teach them to be better instructional leaders, but at the same time you teach them about special ed, about IEPs, about PLAFs, about leading their teachers. So it's all sort of tied together, and that was exciting, because I think it sort of a light bulb went off on some of their eyes when they realized, their eyes or head, they realized, hey, this is something we could move on.
Well, and I think when we go back and realizing that a lot of principals have had very little training, certainly not formal academic. A lot of them are former math teachers, English teachers. Special education makes up a small percentage of the education force. So at the end of the day, if we're going to hold them accountable, they're going to be the final signature. And if something goes to due process, they're the one with the signature, and we're going to hold them accountable, then we've got to support them. We've got to give them training. We've got to give them help, and we've got to carve out the time.
Yeah.
So, we're always putting the responsibility back on the principals. Principals get hammered. They're accountable for everything. Well, I think it's time that we give these folks the support they need, the districts the support, the SPED directors the support, and the funding to support these folks.
So my last takeaway I wanted to sort of mention is that I am always so impressed by special ed directors because they understand diagnostic assessment.
Yeah.
I always start going through my spiel of what is diagnostic assessment, and they go, oh, yeah, I got it, Richard. Because they know what it means. They don't get fooled by benchmark tests that are diagnostic. They understand a real model. And one of the things that we heard from one special ed director was, what is the foundational pedagogical model that the district is using? So that is the question that needs to be asked, because some general ed, they don't have a model that they're following, and they're just sort of plodding along. And their point was, yes, you need to implement something, whether it's a foundational RTI model or whether it's an assessment instruction cycle. And that was really enlightening and hopeful to hear them bring that up, because they realize what needs to happen next at their districts, and they're working towards good change.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because the ed tech world, I think, believes they created personalized learning, and the original creators and progenitors of personalized learning have been special educators. They were the original folks to identify specific needs, differentiate instruction, and personalize those needs. So at any rate, it has been a fantastic day. We have a very busy day tomorrow, working with some Houston school districts, going to meet with a number of them. Super excited. And again, we're going to keep doing the Texas two-step. We're gonna get Richard here trained up. Just again, nothing's more exciting to me than sitting down with the folks in the trenches, doing the work. And I just know Richard and I are so invigorated.
And I have a bunch more development ideas as well.
Very
so
good.
Our director of engineering, Alan, is going to be. No, he won't be upset with me, but he'll be up for the challenge.
Oh, so we came up with the coolest idea. Maybe later we'll share it. But it is a change agent. The SPED director we just met with, I thought was going to come out of her skin. And if you remember, her response was, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? You can do this. We've got to do this. So hold tight.
I told her we're going to get started on this drive.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm telling you, it's a game changer, people. It's a game changer. At any rate, great to talk to y'all, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Keep it real, y'all. Keep it real.